Hi everyone. Thanks for being here. I know this is like we have a lot of competition, so that you are here is great. I'm delighted to be here presenting some of the work that the World Bank has been leading around gender and gender-based violence. And I want to start saying that women and girls, as we know, suffer a double burden from forced displacement. They suffer both from the displacement, but also from experiencing that displacement as women and girls. Forcibly displaced women and girls also suffer from displacement policies which do not place gender at their heart. Therefore, we must recognize not only the unique circumstances women and girls face when displaced, but that we must change the way that we engage with displaced women and girls, recognizing their potential for agency, resilience, and partnership. The World Bank completed a major program of research supported by FCDO and the State and Peacebuilding Fund that engaged multiple academic and practitioner partners, local partners, exploring the gender dimensions of forced displacement. And I'm going to talk about the key findings that are very general, but of course, because I have 5 minutes, but all the research is in that flyers that are in that table that has a QR code, and then you can access it. Please take one at the end. So key findings. Displacement generally worsens households' deprivation status. We know that. But the largest decrease in poverty is associated with having more female earners. That's the highest of all the other different factors. Second, female-headed displacement and refugee household experience higher rates of poverty than male-headed displaced household. There is a lot of evidence that is behind all these statements. Third, displaced women work more on average than non-displaced women and refugee women, but are also more likely to be poor. So, expanding economic opportunities for displaced women by, for example, offering safe and accessible education and training, sexual and reproductive health services, affordable childcare, and lifting legal barriers for working can be key to addressing high rates of poverty. Substantial barriers still constrain displaced women's access to economic opportunities. Displacement also increases levels of gender-based violence, and particularly intimate partner violence. Abuses are not only perpetrated by armed actors. The highest level of gender-based violence in these situations is by a partner. Why this has happened? First is because there are like a shift in gender norms in the household that are displaced. There are overall more of a lack of decision-making autonomy for women, for example, among other things. Also, women are with more lack of social networks in the new settings. Also, there is an increase of some of kind of like the risk factors of gender-based violence, like stress and poverty. And in addition, there is a lack of law enforcement mechanisms applying to those who are displaced. In addition, gender attitudes and gender norms do not always shift together and do not always progress towards gender equality during forced displacement. Moreover, gender attitudes and norms can shift without the behavior shifts. So the attitudes and norms can shift, but still there is like violence happening in these communities. So at the World Bank, we address these findings in our projects, or at least we try, and the approach is twofold. One is support refugee hosting countries through especially governments that are, of course, our main clients, but also with the support of civil rights organizations and women's rights groups, to provide refugees with access to economic opportunities and national education and health services. Second, help strengthening the corresponding policies, institutions, and systems to ensure the effective inclusion of women and girls. This is in line with the new or the updated World Bank Gender Strategy 2024-2030, that also you can find in that flyers. Probably you were involved also in some of the consultations of the gender strategy. Is going to be launched in March 8th. So there are several examples of how the bank includes this approach in our projects. There are several. I'm happy to share with you some of, like for example, in South Sudan, the World Bank implements the South Sudanese Women's Social and Economic Empowerment Project, that the main goal is to strengthen the institutional environment for women's empowerment with the support of the Ministry of Gender. Or in Cox's Bazar, the World Bank has a project with the health sector that supports household and access, the sexual and reproductive health and rights, etc. So there are several like those. So policy and programmatic implications. So the overarching implication is that both humanitarian and development policies and programs should seek to understand and address the intersection of gender and displacement, to close gender gaps in education and paid work, income, poverty, development outcomes, and other dimensions of poverty, as well as the risk of gender-based violence, including intimate partner violence. Forcibly displaced people should be explicitly included in laws, policies, and protocols. This important increased investment in women's groups, especially the ones that are led by forcibly displaced women. Also, this important increase of gender-based violence sustained services, and including prevention interventions and programs that address intimate partner violence among displaced populations. Also, the importance to invest in data, including quantitative and qualitative data, not this just disaggregated by sex, it goes beyond that, that has gender lens in the analysis. Finally, we need to move beyond a protection-centric view. Too long, forcibly displaced women have been given assistance and protection in the what we call the female domains of wash, nutrition, and shelter. Instead, women and girls want to and can work, provide livelihoods, develop coping strategies, and in short, use their agency to manage and overcome adversity. We need to include gender equality and power analysis across our planning and acting. We need to account for agency, livelihoods, heterogeneity, and prevention, which calls for developing and adopting a feminist refugee policy and programs view. Thank you.